So, welcome to this community engagement forum presented by the Veterans Community Action Network of South Central Wisconsin. We are known as VetsCAN, and we're a volunteer organization that is designated as a community veteran engagement board affiliated with the Madison VA Hospital. And we strive to work with community providers, be they healthcare providers, mental health providers, social services providers, to help educate them on the needs of veterans and what is provided by the VA and available to their constituency through the VA, but also to let them know that not every veteran is able to obtain services or the services that they need through the VA. And there is a place for community providers to serve our veterans. And our guest today is really going to speak to that kind of in spades. So my name is Kathy Still. I'm here on behalf of our board of directors. I'm the president right now of the board of directors. I'll introduce Keith Lang as our vice president. And let's see, we've got John Reuter is one of our directors. And that's it for right now. I know that JD is unable to make it. He's got another conflicting meeting, and Tom Parr sent me a message that he's up camping up north and wasn't sure about what his reception would be like up there. So, hey, John, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, how's it going?
Great, great. How's the home business? Home selling business? I read yeah, I was going to say I read a story today in the paper about just not a good month, not a good starting to be a good season. Anyways, so again, just if you're just joining us, normally we do announcements and a round robin at the top, and then have our special guest presenter. But because of scheduling, we're going to have our guest presenter start us off, and then we'll follow up with announcements from the hospital, the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, and a round robin with anybody else that's got announcements. So I want to introduce and welcome Kyle Arneson. He is the founder of Objective Veteran Smile. And Kyle, we had you on, I think it was 2 years ago, and to talk about Objective Veteran Smile and what you have done since then, and just the expansion of the services that you're offering. Your partnership with Delta Dental you've just continued to grow this. You know what? I'm just not even gonna intro you anymore because I know you'll take care of that yourself. So
it's so simple, even us Marines can figure it out. I think I know a lot of people on the call, and they probably know the story, but it really is a simple story. And I don't want to sound anything other than grateful in every respect. But the fact that the VA and our veterans do not have access to dental care, and while that may be something to get in the weeds about, but the reality is in the real world, there's 90+% of veterans that will walk into the dental clinic at any VA, do not qualify to use it, given the 100% service connection, et cetera, et cetera. That's just unacceptable. But knowing that it's not going to change, so why bitch about it? Excuse my language. But the reality was when I saw this, right? I mean, I've never had a job. No one in my family's ever had a job since 1840. A little background in why service is so, and that's true. In fact, I'm putting a reunion together tomorrow down in Janesville area. That's where the original, my last name, Arneson, dad was the only Norwegian. Everybody else got off the Irish boat in 1840 and started coining soybeans. The Milligans, McCoys, and Conklins, and there's a 7th generation ag operation down there. And there's a 3rd generation of 2 trucking companies, all veteran owned. And it was my great grandfather who was born on the farm, Luke McCoy. He thought it'd be a great idea when he turned 18 in 1862 to walk with 3 buddies from the farm to Camp Randall and enlist in the Union Army. And thank God he made it back. I'm here. But that started our military lineage, and then two grandfathers, World War I. My dad and his 4 brothers, all 5 of them combat veterans from Korea. My dad passed 4 years ago. My uncle, who was also a Marine and fought at Chosin Reservoir, probably the most famous of the Korean conflict, he passed away 2 weeks ago. So there's going to be three living uncles tomorrow, and they're all in great shape. They're all driving over to Festival Foods. And if you don't know Festival Foods down in Janesville, every Friday on the second level, they do a Heroes Cafe. It's a veteran meetup. And there's usually 50 or 60 folks that come through there. And I've used that as a platform many times. If you want to get to where these veterans are that lack the access to the dental care and probably have a gripe about it, show up there. Show up to some of these other spots. My 99-year-old uncle, my 95-year-old uncle, and my 93-year-old uncle will be there. And they usually call the meeting together. Hey, my nephew wants to talk about dental. Shut the hell up. Okay, comes together pretty quickly. But again, having seen this issue, again, I was Marine Air Fighter Squadron for 6 years. My brother was Marine Ground. The uh, Seeing this issue 6 years ago, what do you always think about when you see something? And again, it's daunting. The reason it's daunting is because it's hard to disrupt government healthcare. Well, we can't say that much anymore because we're doing it. And while it looks daunting, the simplicity, again, it's so simple, even the Marines can figure this out. Given the fact that most every VA dental care facility is not usable for most of the veterans who walk in there, we're the solution. Objective Veteran Smile. We founded this 5 years ago. Didn't know what we were going to do, but we knew we were going to do something. The first iteration of this was to basically say to a local dentist in Madison area and a local dentist in Green Bay, if we put a veteran in the dental chair, we'll pay for the services. Well, you don't understand how expensive and non-scalable that is until you go through about $1 million cash, and that's fine. We'll just go make more money. I mean, again, we've all been blessed to do very well. So, and I think that's a very important part to Objective's Veteran Smile in its iteration right now. 95 cents of every dollar that comes into this organization as a Wisconsin 501c3 goes right to veterans dental care. I've been very blessed I can work for gas money. But in short order, probably over the next 6 months, we've got an HR executive, and I'll say that she doesn't stand for human remains and human resistance, but she's a legitimate executive recruiter. She says, hey, we need to probably put a legitimate executive director in that position, and the market's about 150,000 a year. Okay, let's do it. But given the fact that this was an issue and there wasn't anybody solving it, there wasn't, from time to time, all I could ever find, even 5 years ago, was hey, dentist in so and so part of state of Wisconsin, or more likely the country, they were doing maybe hey, veterans get a discount on Veterans Week, or I'm going to do the first 10 veterans to show up, I'll do a free cleaning. Again, which is worth real American money. That just didn't seem acceptable to the fact that, again, given the 100% service connection, that there's very few veterans who qualify to use the dental. And the obvious conversations are not good when people show up and they're legitimately 80, 90% disabled in the eyes of the government and they can't get a tooth pulled. So again, just the passion for knowing that that's unacceptable and why bitch about it. That was the basis for basically saying, let's make it a nonprofit. Let's start putting veterans in dental chairs. We go through $1 million. As the story goes, I had a serious injury. I was in a wheelchair for 6 months. We paused the program. I'm great now, and also was able to rehab at the VA here in Madison, which is just a fantastic, fantastic team there in the rehab. After that, I was lucky enough to basically, again, if you're thinking of that way and you have an abundance mindset, things will come to you. This is not a government. This is not anybody who has anything other than an abundance mindset. And I say that in all respect, but the reality is city, county, state, federal, those organizations, a lot of big corporates, they've got a very scarcity mindset. They think that they're working from, and in their, sure, their resources are finite. In the real effing world, and where I come from as an entrepreneur and a reformed investment banker on Wall Street, there is no such thing as finite. Everything is infinite. It's an infinite amount of resources. It's out there. You just need to know where to look. And if you're looking for opportunities, many times they could also find you in a lot of different happenstance. In this situation, I was at a Middleton chamber. I'm out in Verona, Wisconsin, west of Madison. And I was able to connect a woman that was at the Middleton chamber. Her brother's a dentist. She says, hey, do you know Delta Dental? I said, no, I don't. She said, no, I need to make an introduction. In short order, we met Delta Dental of Wisconsin. Obviously, Delta Dental in and of itself in this country is the largest benefits provider specifically for dental and vision. And when we met, it was a fairly short conversation. I'm like, not that we don't believe you. And they weren't veterans, so they didn't understand VA and some of that great healthcare system and then the nuance of the dental. But they said, no, 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 not that we don't believe what you're telling us. We do. But here's the rub. We, as Delta Dental, Wisconsin, and all 49 states, we own the Department of Corrections contract in every state. We know for a fact that those incarcerated, Wisconsin and otherwise, have the best dental plan that the taxpayer can pay for. And you're telling us that those who served our country have nothing for the most part. I said, yes, that's true. Well, let's get to work. And that was great. They got to work. There was some nuance to the insurance industry. Apparently, someone who doesn't employ somebody can't pay for their benefits. So here we spent $1 million spending for money benefits. And I guess technically it wasn't legal. Who the hell cares? Those veterans got some great care. They needed it. And we tweaked the program. So here's exactly what we've got now. And all I want to do is spread the message that if we know any veteran who does not have dental insurance in the state of Wisconsin, this is all 72 counties, it is 11 sovereign nations. Working with our friends, the Ho-Chunk Nation, even trying to get support there. I know Dan pretty well, who runs the casino operation. They're obviously in that culture, veterans are revered. I'm a United States Marine. That's one of the most revered cultures in the Marine Corps are the code talkers. The Navajo tribe in World War II, who basically could not be broken by the Japanese in terms of the code. They were all great United States Marines. So any veteran in the state of Wisconsin who does not have dental insurance, we as the nonprofit, Objective Veteran Smile, Wisconsin 501c3, we pay the approximate $300 a year dental insurance premium to Delta Dental. For now currently a couple hundred veterans enrolled in the program, thousands more in need. And this is all about support. Let's call it what it is. It's money. That's all it needs. It just needs more capital to fund $300 a year for veterans dental care, state of Wisconsin. Now, of course, we've got great partner in Delta Dental. We also wanted to run the program for at least a year just to make sure that the back end, right? I mean, the beauty of this whole program is that Delta Dental does all the work for the most part. I'm the guy, and other ambassadors, if you will, are out there every day asking folks for support and trying to, what we're really looking to do is partner up with business owners, partner up with Legion, VFW, anyone out there who is veteran friendly, because to a man or woman, when this is presented, and it's a very short presentation, obviously, hey, there's no dental care for the majority of our veterans, and it's $300 a year to sponsor Wisconsin veterans basic dental care. How many can you help with? To a man or woman, it's, well, that doesn't sound right. How can I help? And that's a fairly easy conversation. Now, the other part of the conversation is, hey, let's write the check. I'm a huge advocate, and this may come off, whatever it comes off. I literally want to shame a lot of these Wisconsin companies and others, I believe, are misusing the appropriation of the veteran and that whole community, our community, around this time of year, Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Oh, we're doing so much for veterans. All right, prove it. I always want to put it right in front of an individual or their company or their messaging. Let's prove it. If you really are supporting our veterans, what have you done? Where's your action? Because as I see it, your most authentic message is the one you live. And I see a lot of corporate entities with a lot of messaging around veterans, Memorial Week here, Memorial Month, Military Appreciation Month, and then in November. And I've not seen them put a dime into any veterans organization. That's a fact. And I'm looking for any of those folks, and I have no problem calling them out. I don't need anybody's money. I don't need anybody's job. I don't have a job. I'm passionate about going to raise money for this, and that's all I'll do for the rest of my life. So what we're really looking for is any connections to, obviously, donors, individuals, obviously any veteran at all in the state of Wisconsin who does not have dental insurance. And again, there are thousands out there. And now as we start to even have the program up for a couple of years, but really kind of making sure it was scalable, like anything that's going to be sustainable, it needs to be scalable. So again, add more support, add more capital, and we can sponsor tens of thousands of veterans in the state of Wisconsin. We can also, and this is what we're looking to do, we're looking to launch the program in Illinois and Iowa, probably in short order in the next 6 months. They'll just underwrite a dental insurance policy to the economics of Iowa and the state of Illinois. probably about the same number. $300 a year sponsors a veteran's basic dental care. How many can you help us support? And that's basically our pitch to anyone. So obviously we're looking for the veterans, we're looking for the supporters, and we're certainly now also, as I'm getting unsolicited calls more, thank goodness, all just unsolicited, but from dental practitioners. And we were very fortunate to win a pitch contest here locally in the Madison area through our great friends at Adams Advertising, the billboard folks. I guess there was 100 different nonprofits up for this award, and we won the pitch contest, and we were granted an award which started last year. As opposed to physical money, this was a billboard campaign. You probably see them. There's from November of 25 to November of 26. There's a rotating billboard and messaging program around Madison, usually on or off the Beltliner 51. So people are seeing that messaging, and that's just up-leveling awareness, which is all this program is about, is up-leveling awareness that the majority of our veterans have no option at their VA veteran services, and we're the solution. So we've also got the tagline, and I think it kind of rolls off the tongue. You continue to hear, particularly civilians, but others, this time of year or any time of year, oh, so thank you for your service. Oh, hold on. Thank a veteran for their service, invest in their smile. It's that simple. Let's be authentic. Let's put money into it. And there's no amount too small. There's no amount too large. Again, I continue to see, and again, having worked in corporate America on Wall Street as a 100% commission-based investment banker, the reality is there's hundreds of millions and billions of dollars out there, and it just needs to find the right home, particularly in philanthropy. There's a lot of underserved communities in dental and oral hygiene. We're going to concentrate on one that we think has earned the right to that dental care. So the obvious question for many times, and I'll answer it, is okay, that $300 a year that the foundation pays, that covers twice a year for exams and x-rays and cleanings and basic pain management and fillings. If someone doesn't need a surgery, they can pull a tooth. Stuff that in the real world, the VA probably would be doing to most of our veterans, but they're not. And again, I won't go anything other than that's just not the reality, and it's not changing. So we're the solution. So as a veteran might very well need a crown, a bridge, the number one request now, particularly for our older men and women as veterans, is dentures. So our next big thing right now, and we're looking for any connections, dental labs. There was a great Marine who's now passed. He had a dental lab in Racine for many years. I'm now working with his wife, who's just as fiery as a wife of a Marine than as Tony was. But she says, for God's sake, I know Tony and I, for 25 years, we had the dental lab. We make the denture for $600. We sell it to the dental professional for about $1,200 to $1,500. How in the hell does it get in the mouth of a veteran or anybody for $10,000? We're all for profits, and again, so that's what we're doing. We're going to get to the actual dental labs and say, hey, here's what you really need to do, deep discount for our veterans. And we love to give you credit for it and love to talk to others. But obviously the things that may not be covered yet, and again, I tell people all the time, I'm not a dentist. I don't know a damn thing about dentistry. My qualification for this was particularly, I'm a Marine with teeth. That's the only qualification needed for this, and to see an issue and be a solution. So the reality is the dentists have told me, if someone needs more and they know they need more, and here's the real reality of every single day. I think even 5 minutes we've been talking, there's been 2 calls already came in from the VA. And God bless the folks at the VA. I know Joe's on the call, and this is such a wonderful organization. It's just done well for myself and my family for years. That's just a nuance, and people there don't make the rules to have those contentious conversations, particularly on the 5th floor at the dental and vision clinic because of the non-qualification. I think we're doing a real solution there, because from time to time, every couple of weeks, they'll call and say, sorry to bother you. You're not bothering me at all, but we're out of your cards. So the way the battle rhythm of the VA 5th floor dental clinic is, and I've seen it all the time, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe someone's seen differently, but veteran will go in, they'll be told that they're not qualified, they're 0 to 90%, whatever, disabled, they're not able to employ someone for dental services. But hold on, call this guy. There's the irony. The federal government, the folks with the printing press, are actually making that referral to a startup. I'm looking for the bridge that says, where's the 100,000? Where's the 100 million? Where's the money? Where's the capital flowing that couldn't be used in some sort of grant, some sort of legislation, something? Let's just be selfish and say with state of Wisconsin. I know they're doing something very similar in Florida. Where is the bridge to the capital, the money that funds programs? Because, to be honest with you, I've spent $1 million of my own money, and that's fine. We'll go make more, but it needs really millions of dollars. I think over the next 10 years to legitimately have a dental program for veterans in the state of Wisconsin, let's just say 10 years, let's just pick a number, $100 million. That's just a number. But even $5-10 million a year, but even 500, even $1 million a year, something more than's coming in now through private donations. And I think we've always said, as I've said every project in my whole life, and I just celebrated the 50th anniversary of my 16th birthday, and I'm just getting going. But I think the reality is the right people will see this and the right people will show up. And they'll show up, and then it's, oh, wait, where's this program been? Yeah, let's stroke a check for $5 million, for $1 million. We're trying to get a hold of Diane Hendricks. We're trying to get a hold of, again, it's just a process. Judy Faulkner, all the other great, iconic business owners typically that are, as I am, as most of us all are, giving it all away. I want a hell of a lot of zeros in accounts because personally, it's not my money. I'm giving it all away. When they hear about this, it is, I think, probably, I think certainly one of the most critical missions in our veteran community, but I think it's also a direct impact on the quality of life of our Wisconsin veterans. Absolutely direct. For better or worse, and a lot of the HIPAA laws and identifying where people are and telling those stories, that's, and I respect it, but sometimes that's been a little bit harder to get those stories out. Maybe when we're working on, hey, could we use this story? We won't use an image, we won't use names, but let us just tell it, maybe a reenactor. Let us tell the stories. Let me tell the stories of the messages that get left on here every single day. And the heartbreak people are seeing every day by walking into the federal facilities, including in Wisconsin here, and saying, sorry, we can't help with your dental and your oral hygiene health, but call this guy. That's okay. We will figure out the money, but this is the only solution. And if someone knows, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the only program I know of in the country. And that's okay. Can't say that there's not a program in the country now. We've done it, but now we need to scale it. Having a good partner like a Delta and being able to use that logo and that name. Hey, we are partnered with, that I know gives a lot of street credibility if we're starting to now talk to iconic Wisconsin companies. Hey, Northwestern Mutual, let's get off your ass. Hey, American Family, let's get off your ass. Call those people out because for literally 3 or 4 years, we've been having conversations, but yet there's not been a dime. So my thing has always been, hey, don't ever listen to folks that have never written you a check because they don't have any credibility. But yet I continue to hear the American Families, the Northwestern Mutuals, the WPS. I continue to hear all these great iconic Wisconsin companies are so veteran friendly. I call bullshit. And that's where I'm out there every day. And I don't care who I call bullshit to. The reality is, where are these folks and where are they stepping up? Because this is a program that, by God, it has an impact immediately for the quality of life for a veteran. You don't have to be a veteran to have oral hygiene issue. And if you have a tooth issue, as we've all had, and it's not being addressed quickly, that's just not any way to live. So that's our story. It's simple. It requires the support. And if we all can pull the rope a little bit in the same direction here, this will get even more impact. But every day we're having a big impact on quality of life for Wisconsin veterans.
And I think there's plenty of just documentation out there that oral health, I mean, does, I mean, it is,
You
it
don't
is
have to be a
physical
veteran,
health.
right? I mean,
It
there's a
is
lot of
healthcare,
underserved
right?
communities. Right. And I think
And
specifically, and that's a great point, Kathy, because again, certainly no practitioner, but the practitioners have told me, and this is where a group like this, with different networks than mine, could really think into going, and the practitioners have told me, hey, don't discount the fact that if you ever see a healthcare related grant with mental health as an underpin, that's you. The direct correlation between oral hygiene and specifically this veteran community going to mental health and some of that slippery slope, it's not good. And yet, and again, as the practitioner who is a veteran has been telling me, it's literally, hey, I don't feel good about my relationships. I don't feel good about my smile. I don't feel good about job interviews because I'm missing a tooth. I've got some cracked tooth. They're not being taken care of by the VA. I haven't been able to afford it. We've got veterans every day going broke, spending money on their teeth. But that issue in and of itself leads to the greater issue of the oral hygiene and the mental health. It's all connected, as we know. And so, again, we're very selfishly focusing on those who served our country in the state of Wisconsin. And I know we're having a direct impact every single day.
Using the thought process that, the states can be incubators for federal policies and federal change. Is there a champion?
Again, you all would know better than I would.
Well,
That's just not an area I traffic in.
But I'm wondering, are you connected with anyone? Is there any legislator or champion kind of on the policy side here in Wisconsin that would start telling your story and the story of the veterans that you're serving and communicating the need for financial support from the
simple
state
answer is no.
To even start? Okay.
The simple answer is no. Not for a lack of trying, but again, as an entrepreneur or business owner, I get very frustrated in having conversations that lead to nothing other than let's have another Zoom meeting. Again, I call BS pretty quickly because there's too much work to do. There's too much. It's too easy to go out and find another construction contractor who was a veteran to say, hey, you know what? $300. Hey, why don't I just sponsor 20 veterans? So let me just get you a check over for $6,000 or whatever it is. That's easier than trying to go up to the state capitol, of which I have. I won't call out the names, but hell, Tammy's office knows us. Ron's office knows it. But again, I don't do politics. I could care less. I think we all need to be agnostic as to veterans issues. But I did have to chuckle the other day when I saw Ron Johnson. Again, his chief of staff is a Marine, for God's sake. He knows about the program. It's simply put us in a slot. We don't understand that world, but find us a slot. Find us something where we could legitimately put in our documents, however you want to square them up. And oh, that's a great program. It should be granted this amount of capital. But I had to chuckle. In fact, I fell off my seat. Ron's out there and was up in arms and holding a press conference because the Packers are now going to have 6 games of the season on streaming services. How dare they? What the hell is that? Dude, we're trying to get veterans dental care here so they don't freaking die. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I mean, again, the reality of why we want to have those connections to dental practitioners is because there are cases, and you all were connected to the VA, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Every week, there's folks walking into the dental clinic at the VA that have a serious problem that cannot go more than 48, 2 or 3 days. It just can't. This one woman, she needed help. Call this guy. You know what? We did what we could. And and I'll give them credit. First Choice Dental. They're starting to become a great partner. They're pausing some things because of some shakeup in leadership, but my God, they did an $8,500 procedure for this Vietnam era combat nurse veteran who walked into the VA, was told, sorry, you're not qualified, call this guy. Within 48 hours, she was seeing an oral surgeon, and I know they saved her life because of abscess and everything else that I don't know about as a practitioner. And they just said, thanks for getting her here. Okay, that's just one example. But again, that's just everybody pulling the rope and we can get things done. But yeah, I did have to chuckle that we're all, where's your priorities here? The streaming service, hell, spend $20 a month. I don't know the answer, man. But let's start talking about veterans dental care because we're out there 24/7 every single day, just asking the question, hey, how can you help support?
And when it comes to grant funds, the State Department of Veterans Affairs, and maybe you've looked into this previously or have seen it.
Oh, great Marine James Bond. I've seen him many times.
Yeah,
how are you, Marine? Well, we love what you're doing. Again, I think the time for saying we love what we're doing has passed. Now is the time for action. Find us something, a path, and we can figure out making any paperwork that's needed.
And I can put Joey Hoey on the spot, perhaps, but they offer a grant.
Is he on here? Because that guy's legit.
I
talked to him.
Yeah.
I've talked to Joey before. If he's on, that guy's legit.
But they do offer a grant, right, for nonprofits, or am I wrong, Joey?
Yeah, we have a grant. It's a grant.
Hey, Joey, Kyle Arneson. I don't think we've ever met, but you were very instrumental in kind of focusing my thinking. I think it was about a year ago. And you were going down this same path. Hey, man, here's what you need to do to speak to. Okay, we made some calls, we shook some hands, and here we are. Crickets.
just for Kathy, we have a very small grant. The legislature allows us to give $25,000 every year to groups that serve veterans. It, like I say, it's a very limited amount of money, and there's almost no strings attached to that grant. But yeah, so I don't
I
know
don't
if
know.
you got.
That sounds like 80 Wisconsin veterans get covered for dental.
Yeah, yeah. So I will
When
send
will
you
that
the
be
link.
open? Yeah.
I'll send you the link.
I appreciate Mr. Hoey. Thank you.
I think that's open right now. Right, Joey, until June
Hey,
1st.
there's
It's
John. Good to
open.
see you, sir.
Hey, Kyle, how's it going? I think that's open right now until June 1st.
Oh, okay. Joey
Again, great
responded
idea.
affirmatively.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Things that we don't know. Yeah, appreciate any info on that.
But so I don't want to monopolize Kyle's time. Are there other questions or
Feel free.
comments?
I mean, this is what we're doing every day.
Yeah,
Just the passion to serve our veterans, but I think in a very specific area that has huge impact. Because as many of you might know, by seeing folks that are at the VA and can't, let's take dental away and say it's something else. Hey, they can't have that. Where they go? And a lot of times it's nowhere. This now is a solution. And I know the folks in the dental clinic are so relieved to be able to say, but this may be a solution.
So are there other, it sounds like most of the referrals that you get are from the dental clinic at the VA.
I'd say 60%.
Where else, how do you connect with veterans or how do they find you?
Here's another great area, especially for our northern counties. We have these wonderful folks called the County Veteran Service Officers. You all know the story. Those folks are interacting with veterans every single day. For some reason, we've never been able to get a full list or just even an email out from the WDVA. That sounds easy enough to a business owner. Hey, why don't you just shoot our information out to every CVSO in a blink of a, wow, I've just had 10 veterans last week talk about dental. So they're doing great things. There's a number of counties that utilize this, particularly up north. And so this program, given the fact that this is a common question, well, wait a second, what about, up in Barron County, where 72 counties, 11 sovereign nations? Fact. There should be no more than about a 30-minute ride to a dentist because of this Delta Dental Network. That encompasses almost 6,000 dentists and those 6,000 dentists. So that's the real rub for most people saying, well, where do you get all these dentists? We don't do anything. They're already in the network of Delta Dental. They take Delta insurance for the most part, right? And I've been told by the dentist, hey, man, if I have a dental practice in Wisconsin and I don't take Delta, who owns the contract for the state of Wisconsin, the university, every company outside of Menards. For some reason, John Menard goes to Minnesota, but they're everywhere. And so those 6,000 dentists, that's the ease of the program. We don't have to be connecting people to dentists. Now, the other easy bridge there for the dental practitioners. And here's where you start thinking like the business owner, the dental practitioner, the person that's in business, whether it's a two-person shop or if it's more of a like First Choice Dental in Dane County. They're now growing their like 17th clinic in Monona. But the reality is, no matter how big they are, dentists are always, just like any other business owner, looking for new clients, new customers, new patients. 99% or so of the folks who come into our program don't have a dentist. So if we've got referral partners, let's start with Dane County, people that are walking into the VA fifth floor dental clinic and saying, hey, they told me to call. Maybe you could do something. I guess you're a dentist. No, I'm a Marine with teeth. How can I help? And we go into the conversation and then just get a bit of information from them. And even though many times people that are there will come and say, I know I need a crown. I know I need some. How do you know that? Well, I was at the dentist a couple of years ago. No, you don't know that because you haven't had a workup. You haven't had an exam in a couple of years, and that's fine. Be honest, in full disclosure, I use the program myself. I was the first one to use the program. It's fantastic. I'm very, very blessed. My parents spent a lot of money on orthodontia here in Madison, in Doctors Park, where we lived by the stadium. So I've got great teeth even at 66. I just need the maintenance. And my practitioner, my dentist, Dr. April Tressa, I'll give her a shout out if you know her. She's fantastic. She's got distinctive dental implants in Middleton. She's an Army veteran, a West Point graduate. Of course, I made the mistake of asking Dr. April, so how is it being a dentist in the Army? She says, hell, I wasn't a dentist in the Army. I was a nuclear propulsion specialist. Well, of course you were. She did her 6-year commitment, West Point commitment, and then her dad is a dentist. She went to the Iowa Dental School, met her husband here, and has her practice. But she's also thrown in and done some pro bono work. And to a man or woman in the practice of dentistry, God bless them that skill set. But they all have servant hearts. And if they can just, even a program that we could say, hey, maybe once a year you could do a pro bono tooth pull, whatever that veteran requires, it's not covered here. But even things that aren't covered, like a crown, a bridge, or a denture, that may be expensive, and it all is. This program in and of itself, as many of us know, if you've just got even a regular insurance policy, this program specifically twice a year for exams, x-rays, cleanings. If you need basic pain management or tooth pulled without surgery, that's done. So that's worth a couple of $1,000 in and of itself. You couldn't go to a dentist these days, just even off the street, and say, hey, take a look, have an exam. All right, well, there's usually $800. But just because, as the dentist tell me, if the veteran has this basic dental policy and they need a $3,000 crown or whatever it is, says the practitioner, I can discount that because they've at least got a basic dental policy through Delta or whoever else. But if they're just paying cash and credit, like so many of your veterans are, I can't really do any of that as discounts as a business owner. But if I've just got an insurance policy to cover some of that stuff, even the things that I'm using, polidents and solvents and things for that procedure that's $3,000, a lot of that I can write off because they've got basic insurance. So it all really works hand in glove. Again, it just is more connections to the veterans, more connections to the donors, and let's see if we all can pull the rope here.
Any other questions?
Come on, Joe Naylor. I know you
Keith.
got something on your mind.
Keith, we can't hear you.
Kyle, it's good to hear from you and good to see you.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
for all that you do.
Well, I can't see you, but I know you're there. I know you're everywhere. Thanks for all you're doing.
Yeah.
And again, you've got at the VA, there's all different little pockets that I'm not even familiar with, but a lot of them have those cards, get their way down from the 5th floor to the engagement personnel, to the CC, to the seniors. I mean, we've had calls from all over going, well, how'd you get referred? Well, someone in benefits at the VA had your card. And God bless Vito and the folks up on the 5th floor. We give them a stack of cards and they're distributing. And so that's just a phenomenal way to go. And we're happy to do it. Like I said, we'll figure out money. It's just, that's what we want to do is serve.
Well, it's just phenomenal in your energy, Kyle, that you bring to this.
But it's not. We all have. Right? We're all serving. Find something and follow your passion. This is an absolutely insane issue, right? You want to see the most government thing I've ever seen? The fact that we've got a dental clinic and most people can't use it.
Yeah.
It's a funny story to tell, but it's reality. And then you start talking about the incarcerated and what they've already got covered for their dental plan. And that's why it pays to have a Delta Dental. Our other friends from Physicians Mutual, hey, if we know insurance agencies that have dental policies, let us know. Because not only can they be a funder, we can push business to them. Absolutely. Oh, and I did want to do a shameless plug, if you don't mind. We're partnered up for the 2nd year in a row. Our good friend, some of you might know him, Latitude 43, Spencer Sen from Cottage Grove out there, combat veteran, Afghanistan, Army. And he's got a phenomenal HVAC company. He's had this tournament for 5 years. Last year, they had someone drop out, the benefactor. He says, hey, I met you at the WJJO Radiothon. Why don't we have you and the veteran dental as benefactors? So we're doing it again. We got a little more time to do it. But yeah, about 60 days. Friday, July 24th at the Oaks. There's golf. There's sponsorship, certainly. Delta's going to be our top sponsor. And our other good friends from M3 Insurance. Again, these are all iconic Wisconsin companies that actually know about it and have said we need to support that. But how many thousands more are there? And they all need to know about this, and they should support right alongside everything. And again, if we can ever talk to someone that knows what they're doing, like Mr. Hoey, he knows the avenues there, and was starting to explain that to me last year. And I did shake hands with a couple of legislatures on both sides of an aisle. But again, it's, wow, love what you're doing. All right, the time for loving what we're doing, it's time for the action piece.
Well, thanks so much, Kyle. It's great to hear from you. And we will.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We're recording this. We'll post it on our YouTube channel, but also it's like share it again through our network, and
If you
hopefully
can send
it will
that to
get
me, the
shown
link,
too.
again,
Absolutely.
a lot of this is just intertwined into my other businesses that I do. Again, I was a former commodities trader for many years, with our 7th generation ag operation. I'm a thinking partner to a lot of business owners. How do you grow it? How do you add zeros? How do you make a lot of money so you can give it all away? That's my story. But I also have 20,000 people on a LinkedIn. So when I post something on LinkedIn, again, I'm no big shakes, but the reality is people see it. And so a couple thousand people will see it. So I'm happy to post it. A lot of you have seen the videos. Hey, and I've got a face for radio, but just putting stuff out there and getting it out there gets the word out, and the right people see it. And we're just getting started. That's the thing. We're just getting started. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate all that you're doing for our veterans community, every person.
Thanks for being here, Kyle, and for sharing.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Take care.
Great
so we're going to move on to just our announcements and round robin. So I think I will start with just some general update from VetsCAN. We have last week, previously, most of you have been on previous meetings and our engagement forums, and you may recall us talking about our QRF fund, our Quick Reaction Financing Emergency Grant Fund that we provide to veterans in need. It's intended as bridge funding for veterans that are up against it, and looking to provide a distribution of funds within 2 to 3 days while the veteran is perhaps waiting on grants from other sources that might take longer to process. We award these grants in amounts up to $500 for the veteran, and we've seen a huge demand, and most recently, a lot of demand related to housing, rental assistance, where rents are going up, and veterans are not prepared for it, or they've gotten a situation where they had back rent, and we've been able to cover some costs and expenses there. What's really been what we're really excited about with that program are the partnerships that have developed with that, most notably through with Wisconsin Veterans Network, VetsNet, and also the Community Action Coalition for South Central Wisconsin. They have been fantastic partners, and so we're able to provide our $500 grant or up to $500 grant, but also use that to leverage additional resources from those organizations that do have more robust funding in some cases. So it's an exciting program, and we're happy to see this, the expanded partnerships and working together, because that's part of what we want to do in growing VetsCAN and just furthering the VetsCAN mission. However, we had allocated an amount of money for the first half of the calendar year, and we've already depleted those funds. So we've had to put a pause on our QRF, and then for the time being, we notified the CVSOs and the VA staff that we largely received those referrals from, just to let them know, hey, we've got a pause on this due to funding, but we will be moving forward in the future, and looking forward to continuing work in the future. And coincidentally, then we did receive a donation from a past contributor, and so that helps to restore that. And so hopefully we'll be able to get the QRF grant back up and running again in short order. I'm going to invite you to next month's forum on June 18th. Our guest is going to be Angie Nichols from Stand Down Madison. Their next event is going to be, their big event is going to be in October, but they do have some preparatory and fundraising events coming up before then to help support that mission. But we'll hear more from Angie at the June 18th forum. So after that, so VA hospital updates. Lupe, Joe, Jim, are you tag teaming it today, or?
We are tag teaming a little bit, and
Excellent.
I will kick us off and be brief. I just wanted to let everybody know, and you may have seen this a little bit in the media, but we were fortunate to host 2 VIPs from our VA central office in the last month. So on April 22nd, the VA Deputy Secretary, Dr. Paul Lawrence, was here in Madison. He came to talk to us about our federal electronic health record deployment. He is very involved in that process as we are all moving through it across the country. So he took time to meet with our executive leadership team and our change leadership team, as well as some of our service chiefs, to talk about how the deployment's going and ensuring that we have the resources that we need and are ready for our go live, which is January 16th, 2027. So lots of work going on at the medical center related to getting our staff and soon our veterans ready for that big change. But it was great to have the support from senior leadership. Following on the heels of that visit, on May 8th, we were honored to also host VA Secretary Doug Collins. He made his way to our Janesville clinic, and there he met with our network director, our executive leadership team, for really a sit down in a very small, intimate setting to talk about our challenges and how central office can be support to keep us moving in the right direction. But while he was there, not only did he spend time talking to us about the business that we do, but he took time to sit and meet with all of the staff that he encountered in the waiting area and presented coins to one of our PAC teams in Janesville, which was really phenomenal. So he really did share his vision for the future and his support, and as long as we're doing right by the veterans, he has our back is kind of the message that we've been taking forward. So, and we've been fortunate to get follow-up from his team on a lot of the things that were actioned out from that meeting. So just wanted to hit those highlights of Madison being in the spotlight and having that national attention, which is really, we are taking full advantage of to continue to move barriers or, get resources where we need them most. So that's all I have. I'm going to hand it off to Joe, who's got some updates on our big events.
One question, Joe, before you get started, if I may, regarding the electronic health records and implementation and moving forward. And Tom Parr is not on the call today, but he's mentioned recently that staff from Oracle or Cerner, the vendor, is obtaining input from veterans and kind of from around Wisconsin, from around Michigan. And are you aware of that? Or, and is the VA part of that too, where they're like the vendor is collecting input from your providers, from veterans that are receiving services in the hospital, in the clinics, or is VA part of that information gathering or feedback gathering from the vendor?
We are certainly working very closely with Oracle Health, who is our vendor. We did find out, I think just today, that there are some communications going out to the community that we weren't aware of. So we are, now that we've identified that, we're working to kind of make sure things are being routed. So at the facility level, we have a high level of awareness of that outreach. Jim is on, and I think he just put something in the chat. He is the public face of all of our external communications, so he may have more to add. But We're happy that we're engaging lots of stakeholders, but I think it is possible that there's some outreach going on that we may not have fully been aware of. So we're kind of starting to catch up. Jim, did you have anything else on our external comms?
No, nothing else. Well, you'll be seeing it within the next month, and you'll start seeing a steady stream and it ramping up as we get closer.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Lupe. Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Dr. Mejia. Yeah, and I just piggyback on that too. If you do become familiar with communication with your Veterans Network through Oracle, or if there's veterans or service organizations that raise concerns regarding legitimacy, you can reach out to us, Kathy, and we'll follow up on that, and let our leadership team here that's leading the charge with FEHRM know as well. So thank you that's a great question. Thanks. And very timely. So thank you. Acknowledging the limited time that we have, I'm just going to run through a few updates that we have through a few events that we have coming up in the next month or two. Tomorrow we will be inducting our 24th veteran into the Hall of Heroes here in Madison. So we're very excited about that. That will be at 11 o'clock. Jim Bove has put a lot of effort into that, as have a lot of staff here at the hospital. It's one of our marquee events of the year. It really highlights our connection to the community and our local veterans. Thomas Hack is the veteran's name. He's local. He's a Vietnam veteran, received a Bronze Star and Silver Star in Vietnam. And we're expecting close to about 60 friends and family to attend to be there to support him. So you are all welcome to stop by at 11 o'clock as well. On the 9th of June, we will be facilitating our first Choose VA teletown hall. So it's a little bit different than our normal teletown halls that you've probably heard us talk about in the past. This Choose VA teletown hall is it's a deliberate effort on National VA's behalf to reach unenrolled veterans. So we're basically able to select an area, a county, or a collection of zip codes, and invite those unenrolled veterans to a teletown hall where we can highlight our hospital, the services that we provide, and the overall quality of care. So that is happening on the 9th, and we will be focusing this initial call on Dane County veterans only. And so we're basically going to kind of pilot this, see what kind of response rate we get, and build out from there. So that's on the 9th of June. 10th of June, our Janesville Elks Lodge Veteran Benefit Event. That's a biannual event that we host with the Elks Lodge down in Janesville. That's always a great event, probably about 30 vendors that'll be there for that. On the 11th of June, we have our Northern Tier Teletown Hall. So we'll be inviting our veterans from our Northern Tier counties to that call. And then a couple large events, kind of our marquee events of the summer. We're hosting 2 open houses at our clinics this summer. The first is at Beaver Dam on the 26th of June. There'll be free brats, so that's always a great thing. So you're all invited to that. But yeah, we hosted open houses at East and Rockford last year, and they were just wonderful events, very well attended, both community members and veterans alike. So we're excited to highlight all the things that the Beaver Dam CBOC offers. And then we follow that with the Janesville open house, Janesville CBOC open house on the 24th of July. And then the last event that I'll mention today is the VA Day at the Duck Pond. That's our Military and Veteran Appreciation Night on the 31st of July. So that is an annual event that we host. It's our VA Employee Appreciation Night, but we pair that with a Military and Veteran Appreciation Night as well. Oh, and Jim just messaged me. I'll go into August, even though we're going to meet before that. The 7th of August is National Purple Heart Day. That will be our 3rd induction ceremony for our Purple Heart Hall of Honor. So the deadline for applications to be considered for that induction ceremony is the 1st of June. So we're still welcoming applications that can be found online on our website. So those are those are the events. We have, and that's, I'm not listing all of them, but we have a very ambitious next few months. And then we kind of bookend our summer season with the 75th anniversary celebration for the hospital. So that will be on the 17th of September. So Lupe and Jim and our leadership team here, we've been meeting weekly, working on planning for that event. It'll be a year-long celebration. So this is just kind of the kickoff on the 17th. You all will hopefully be there with us to celebrate at the formal event on the 17th, and that'll be in the morning. And then we'll be hosting a public open house / benefits fair tours that afternoon. So roughly 3 to 6, 4 to 7. And we'll hopefully have food and refreshments and be able to showcase our hospital to, invite staff and community members, partners, just the general public. So that's the 75th. The last thing I'll mention is there hasn't been much change with the Fisher House since our last meeting. So we're still working with the city of Middleton, working through the permitting, going through that. We haven't hit any roadblocks by any means, but we're still hoping and expecting to break ground this summer. So that's our goal. We're already having some initial staffing conversations, which is exciting. I participated in a manager training in Milwaukee with the national office a couple weeks ago. So that was very inspiring, and we can't wait to report some updates and give you some dates. So that's what I have, Kathy, and I look forward to connecting with you tomorrow on how we can support the QRF as well.
Thank you. Then, Jim, anything from Jim, or I see you're filling the comments or the chat.
They got it all.
Great.
Yeah, and I will say, Kathy, one more thing. Sorry, we've had some conversations too, centering on VetsCAN collaboration with Fisher House and helping to support some of the needs, resource needs, volunteer needs, communication support. So I think that I'm excited about the potential for that, and maybe kind of growing the mission of VetsCAN as well, along with supporting the Fisher House. So.
And that's something we're looking forward to as we get closer to breaking ground and getting the constructed and underway. So thanks, Joe, for that update and that information. All right. Well, there's just a small group of us left. Joey, do you have what's happening at DVA?
What budget? We're starting to put together the next biennial budget request. So that's always an adventure, and will be even more interesting this time around because the governor won't be here to implement whatever budget he does propose or his agencies propose. So lots of ideas, and I think might be asking for more than we might normally ask for, since there's in relationship to what we heard earlier in the presentation about the idea of what the state does or does not pay for in terms of veterans. The Joint Ledge Council, every election summer, they do study committees, which are attempts to tackle more contentious and somewhat more complicated problems in a slightly less partisan way, these study committees. And it isn't official, but a mail ballot went out, and I'll put a link into the chat right now. One of the proposed committees is a study on state veterans benefits. It's a good chance that this committee will be approved as one of the study committees. And the directive is to review state law, the benefits state law currently provides to veterans. And then the second half of that is to determine whether the term veteran should be redefined. There's been a lot of activity at the legislature by Guard and reservists who seem to think that the definition in state law somehow prevents them from getting benefits. And it's really not the definition. It sort of goes the other way. Benefits, in the past, the legislature has determined that they want to give benefits to people that have done certain things. Whether they served a certain amount of time or whether they were disabled or, different things. So, but this committee will be reviewing and looking at all state benefits. And as was clear in the earlier presentation, we don't provide any health care from the state. And so I know that our speaker tried to meet with elected officials at the state level to see if anyone would be in favor of proposing spending some state dollars on dental care or other things. So this may be something people want to pay attention to, the study committee. And for those of you, I know you might want to, there's a certain number of public members of these committees as well as legislators. And once the committee gets approved, there'll be an application window on the Ledge Council site if someone wanted to serve, to put their name in as a potential person to serve on that committee. So sort of plays into what we talked about, the fact that there's, either no or limited money. I hesitate to ask Kathy, but did you guys apply for the nonprofit grant?
I'll tell you, it was sadly news to me that it was open. And so I hadn't. So I think we'll take a look at that. One of the things with our grant, Joey, is that we're able to push the money out the door so quickly because we don't do a deep dive into checking, DD-214s or the characterization of service, that sort of thing. But it's good to know we've got until June 1st to get that 5th. Oh, that's even better. Till June 5th. And so we'll take a look at that because we're definitely looking at, just different resources and being more deliberate than we have been in the past at raising funds to support the QRF, which we've determined, there is a need for, and we do want to be able to expand that beyond the 3 counties that we're currently serving with that grant. I had, Joey, on a different topic, I had a conversation yesterday, just kind of offhand, with somebody who mentioned King. And I was just wondering, how are things and I was like, oh, King, haven't been there. How's the new building? And is it, are there any plans for anything new at King or in the offing or potentially in the offing?
Yeah, in last budget cycle, we got approved for a brand new kitchen and services. So we're going to be constructing a new kitchen up at King and central services, all the heat and water and that stuff. So and one of the empty unusable old nursing home buildings will be torn down as a part of that process. So lots happening at King. The things have been going really well. We have the former commandant who did a really great job there, has been promoted to be the head of all 3 nursing homes. So things are good up there. Our census is steady. It dropped for those who follow. We used to have 700 residents there, but the federal government stopped paying for anything other than full-on nursing care. So, our census is down to under 300. So, and I think that's been hard for the community up there because the fewer employees and fewer, vendors and things like that. But I think it's leveled off, and I think we're demographic wise will probably continue at about that level.
Does that include, I recall that the new Moses Hall included, or it included some special design for memory care for the memory care unit? And is memory care still a service then that's provided at King? Is that
Yes, yeah, it's very expensive, and yeah, and the you need to physically separate those dementia care patients from other residents because of the danger they pose both to themselves and to others. So, yeah, we have memory care limited at Union Grove and Chippewa Falls, and we have I think we're full at the moment at King. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I know that was just kind of an off the cuff
Yep.
question
Nope.
for you, but I appreciate that. It's like it's just that's such a lovely campus, and such in Moses Hall is such a just top notch, just a new building that it's nice to know my conversation down here that a veteran was aware of King, and that it was
Yeah.
there. He said, "I'm not ready to go there yet, but."
Yeah, well, and now that the VA, probably in your time here, the VA, if you wanted the VA to cover your nursing care, you had to go to one of our 3 homes. And now they contract with 73 private nursing homes, so you don't have to move your loved one halfway across the state in order to get it covered. So, very different world we're in than it used to be. But King, I think, yeah, King's doing well. Union Grove, we've had a turnaround. There's been a long history of trouble there, but for the first time in my 3+ years at DVA, we have a complete leadership team. We have a commandant, a deputy commandant, we have a director of nursing, we have 2 ADONs, all state employees, no contracted staff, no interim or agency personnel. So things are really starting to improve down at Union Grove also. So
That's great to hear. That's really great to hear. That just fantastic. Thanks for that update, Joey.
yeah.
So here
Yeah.
we are, just the 4 of us. Keith and John, do you have any? Keith, if you've got questions, put them in the chat. We can't hear you.
Everyone disappeared.
Yeah. Well, it's like this, the calendar, I think the upcoming long weekend is maybe affected attendance today. Anything, John, any updates or any questions from you? Anything for Joey?
I don't really have much. I mean, we just are still trying to, like, female veterans, as you know, it's hard for them to find housing in Madison. They have beds in Milwaukee, but Madison's tough. So we've done a couple grants from our foundation for that. And then really that's about it. And just we got our scholarships going out here too from people who applied for them. So that's all we got.
I think that, housing and, Joey, as you're putting the budget together, and especially without the constraints that you would have if you were preparing for like an incumbent governor, where they put out all of their restrictions and everything, kind of with well, there aren't any guidelines, right? I say that there aren't any guidelines right now with developing your budget, but do you see, or, are you able to read any tea leaves as far as VHRP funding and additional VORP funding, and what the department might, ask for initially?
Yeah, we're debating that. The legislature whacked our homeless program by 2/3 this past budget. The VHRP, we had to close those 2 facilities because they wouldn't provide us enough money. I don't know that there's an appetite to ask for that again, given the legislature. I mean, the legislature might be very different, but having asked for that money, repeatedly and been told no, I think we will once again ask for the funding to expand that VORP program back up to the 16 regions that we had with the ARPA dollars, because that program had some really impressive metrics behind it.
Mhm.
VHRP, because of where our two homes were and some of the problems we had with them, we didn't have as quite a convincing a story about how effective those state dollars were with the
Mhm.
VHRP. But I'm almost 100% sure we'll be asking for more money for the VORP program. We might even look to go a little bigger if the idea being that there might be a very different legislature voting on that. So,
And I think, like you said, it's like with the VORP program, I mean, that certainly the anecdotal evidence is there for the program. But you know, the feedback that I've received from, CVSOs on just the VORP staff and what they're able to do and provide, and how they're able to assist veterans, that CVSOs don't have the bandwidth to do, because they're doing the disability applications for veterans. And so it's like, it's just this wonderful example of partnership where the state's coming alongside and providing this program. And so I think that, if VetsCAN can be a voice, a useful voice, do you foresee, having, when you mentioned the study committee, could potentially, if they're looking at all veterans benefits, do you foresee that, the services benefits such as VORP could be included as a discussion topic if that study committee is stood up? Or do you see it where the request was just like, oh, the individual benefits that are paid out or provided to individual veterans?
no, I think we'll have a comprehensive look at all the state benefits, whether they go to, however they end up, whether it's the GI Bill, which is or whether it's the nonprofit grants. I think they will. There isn't a lot, the state. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but the state does not spend a lot of money on veterans, relatively speaking. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that discussion goes. But I think it could be a time. I don't think most people realize that the state doesn't provide more services. So this might be a way to change the narrative or turn the ship around a little bit and get some more state funding for veterans, like dental care, things like that are so much needed. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right. I guess, unless anybody's got anything else, I guess we could say goodbye. All right.
Unfortunately, did you say the 18th of June?
I said the 18th of June, which should be a Thursday.
I won't be able to be on the meeting. I have to be, one of the unusual duties is I've been roped into being the state lead for the Wisconsin Pavilion at the Great American State Fair, which is happening on the Mall in DC. And
wow, that's
yeah,
is that kind of an America 250 event, or is that an annual event?
It used to be an annual event that in DC they would have a 1 or 2 day state fair in DC, but the Trump administration has expanded it to 2 full weeks, and Wisconsin is going to have a 30 by 25 foot pavilion on the Mall for 2 weeks, and I've been in charge of putting it together because the America 250 Commission is housed at DVA, so and that's our put-in date. We get to start building our pavilion down in DC on the 18th.
So do you have to actually put it together?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't find out about this till February. And there's very little budget, as you know, there wasn't in the budget, and and no staff. So yeah, Shannon and myself and maybe a few others are going down and setting up a booth on the Mall. So
well, I wish you good weather and and all the best. But cool opportunity though too to just promote Wisconsin and everything, because I imagine just Washington's going to be bustling, and especially with all the America 250 celebration, and it's exciting. So
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
it, and
Hopefully it's
good
not
luck.
too hot and
Yeah.
humid, but what are you gonna do?
All right. Well, thanks for staying with us through to the end today. And again, our next forum will be June 18th at 3:00. And then that'll be followed. That's our last forum for the summer. And then we'll take a hiatus and be back in September. So thanks for joining us. See you all. Take care.
Have a good day.
Everyone have a good summer.